Welcome to the Loyal Opposition Podcast. I'm Bernie Flowers, one of Uncle Sam's wayward sons. I intend to talk about important topics every week in hopes of helping to improve our country and our way of life. I ask that you like, share, and subscribe as we try to grow the channel and defend America's middle class. So, let's get started. Since I have my own podcast, ever so often I like to say what's really on my mind. This will be such an episode. First up, I want to talk about Vice President Harris's recent interview on the Fox News program with Brett Baier. Ms. Harris seemed ill-prepared during the interview. She failed to show how she plans to adequately defend America's interests. Her so-called Border Patrol proposal was really a veiled excuse to send more money to the Ukraine and overseas, rather than support the problems of American citizens. Her answers to the questions speak volumes about where her priorities lie. Additionally, her stance on the Second Amendment is reprehensible. Ms. Harris bragged about owning a Glock, but she clearly wants to limit the rights of American citizens to hold the Second Amendment in place and defend themselves. Her rhetoric indicates that she wants to take away your right to own a weapon. Fox showed a video of her speaking of her plan to provide taxpayer-funded transgender surgeries for illegal aliens and prisoners. That raises concerns about her commitment to the majority of tax-paying citizens. Over a few months ago, she was listed as the worst vice president in U.S. history. Now she is the Democrats' savior. What has she done in the past 4 years to earn my vote? I raise the BS flag, and I blame the oligarchs in this country. In truth, she was appointed as the Democrats' presidential nominee by America's oligarchs. She did not legitimately earn the Democrat Party's nomination. Democrats all across this country have been disenfranchised. It's obvious how poorly she answered the questions that Brett Baier presented to her. Her only answer was, "It's Trump's fault." With reports suggesting that the federal government spent $66 billion on illegal immigration in 2023, it's not hard to question the administration's priorities. Meanwhile, while only $3 billion was allocated for the welfare of homeless veterans, a topic that's near and dear to my heart. Again, how could China and Russia be acknowledged as the biggest threats to America by the Pentagon, while Ms. Harris says that Iran is our number one threat? Didn't she and Biden give them billions of dollars recently? How can she be so misguided? Next, I'll address President Obama's recent comments aimed at black men and trying to shame them into supporting Ms. Harris. I don't intend to tell anybody who to vote for, but it's kind of perplexing when the Democrat establishment seems to push candidates who haven't earned their place through genuine merit. Ms. Harris's record raises questions about her identity and her qualifications, leading many to wonder why she should receive our votes. Obama trying to shame black men into voting for her just doesn't help. He should just go away. His time has passed. How come the Democrats are never the sons of slaves? The Democrat presidential nominees, that is. My ancestors survived the Middle Passage and raised tobacco and cotton on plantations in the South. How come neither Harris or Obama have ancestral connections to people like me? I'm not speaking for all black men. I can only speak for myself. But I will say that I have no issue voting for a woman. I would vote proudly for my fellow veteran Tulsi Gabbard, but I have a problem voting for Ms. Harris. Now let's talk about FEMA's response to the recent hurricanes. I want to discuss that, especially in my home state of North Carolina and most recently Florida. Many fellow Tar Heels have been denied aid while the Biden-Harris administration has directed billions of dollars overseas to non-taxpayers. Their actions beg the question, What has Kamala Harris done to assist hurricane victims in North Carolina or in Florida? More than 2 weeks have passed in North Carolina, and victims are still suffering, and that is unsaid. My fellow Tar Heels have been denied applications for FEMA grants while the Biden-Harris administration sends billions to the Middle East, to the Ukraine, and to Asia. The American people are being shortchanged before our very eyes. And the Vice President of the United States can only say, I was a middle-class kid. She clearly wasn't a middle-class kid as the daughter of two elite college professors. Lastly, America's form of government is that of a constitutional republic. True democracy would require that citizens vote on every decision. Democracy implies a mob rule. Instead, in America, we elect representatives to stand for us and stand for our individual interests. I don't know that they're doing such a good job of that right now. But in our system, elected representatives make decisions on behalf of the citizens, and the government is bound by the Constitution, which outlines the rights of people and the limits of governmental power. This structure combines elements of democracy such as voting and representation with a framework designed to protect individual liberties and prevent the tyranny of the majority. The Founding Fathers warned us about the tyranny of the majority. The U.S. Constitution establishes the rule of law, ensuring that laws are applied equally to all citizens, including a system of checks and balances among the three branches of government: the executive, the legislative, and the judicial branches. Ms. Harris is always talking about defending our democracy. Well, was democracy taken into account when the Democrat elites decided to install her as their presidential nominee? The concept of democracy was not even considered when she was given that Democrat nomination. In summary, everything I can see at this point indicates a Trump victory. Yes, Trump is an imperfect vessel, but at least we know what to expect of him, as he once served as president. During his watch, we had no new wars, we had a booming economy, and our border was secure. On the other hand, the polling, if it's indicating correctly, the only way Ms. Harris can win is to cheat. Ms. Harris and the Biden administration have presided over only chaos and increasing instability in this greater world. It is almost as if she is actively trying to destabilize our government. She says that she wants to turn the page. I say, turn the page from what? It's her administration that was creating the most of our nation's current problems. Thanks for listening and allowing me to say what's on my mind. Well, that's about it for now. This has been the Loyal Opposition Podcast, produced in association with Fallback Productions and Veterans for America First. Please like, share, and subscribe as we try to grow the channel and protect America's middle class. Be sure to get your copy of my book, Black Values Matter, available as an ebook on Amazon, Audible, and Apple Books. And also, remember, it's okay to disagree. But if we want our country to prosper, we must insist on unity, transparency, and civility for ourselves and for our fellow citizens. Thanks for listening to the Loyal Opposition Podcast. We'll see you next week.